Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at CRO. So we were looking at this on the live stream last night, and it was one of the coins, one of the few coins which I wouldn't say has got a good setup, but it's not particularly as bad as all the others. Now we had this parabolic move all the way up. Everyone was getting excited about CRO. Everybody wants the Crypto.com card. It's metal, I've heard, and you can get Spotify for free so long as you buy tons and tons and tons of CRO. Well, I mean, it's not for me to say if it's good or bad, but there's definitely demand for that thing, and Crypto.com is not a nobody. They are huge. Matt Damon told everybody to buy the top of the crypto market, but behind that the message was get on Crypto.com, get the card, and buy CRO. So there's a fundamental reason why Crypto.com or CRO is going to continue with its rally, and from what we see here, the parabolic move was so great that the consolidation obviously needed to take place. We've broken out of that so far. We've got this toppy area of about 51 cents and this bottomy area of about 37 cents, and we're kind of snaking around in the middle. Now when you break out of these consolidations like this, these descending triangles, you can sometimes moon. If the market was healthy, bullish, you would expect it to just break out and go all the way up. But if it's kind of sideways and boring, as dictated by Bitcoin, which pretty much has the same setup really, the same kind of deal going on, consolidation, a very strong and steep one, and then we broke out of that and effectively gone sideways, presumably in an accumulation. So we think that that might be the case for Crypto.com. And actually, if you look at the two charts, Bitcoin and Crypto.com, we never got a death cross on the Crypto.com. Technically, we're above the 200 exponential. In fact, we're almost above all major moving averages on this chart, and Bitcoin is not. We're still below the 200 exponential. So it's a better chart with a better setup than Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin wants to go sideways and allows for certain altcoins to kind of do little runs and rallies, this could be one of those coins that actually does do that. So it's not going to be, it's not going to escape Bitcoin pulling back this coin as well. But the strength, or should I say the lack of weakness, or the supports below it, which is what these moving averages are at the moment being, plus this bottom of the Bollinger Band coming in at this 37 range, which is also this horizontal level of support. It seems like a reasonably good idea if you're looking to buy CRO and buy the dip of anything that's dictated by Bitcoin dipping, because Bitcoin does threaten a pullback to about 37,000 and maybe even completely dumping after that. But if you're relatively bullish and you've got if you've got money burning a hole in your pocket, then this might be one of those opportunities. So, like I say, it's not going to it's not going to avoid a pullback if Bitcoin wants to do it. But there's definite levels of interest. First one being a flat 40 cent. Really, we've got the center of this Bollinger Band and the 200 simple moving average coming in at just below 40. If we go to the 4-hourly chart as well, what we see is down at these lower levels as well, and effectively the bottom of the Bollinger Band is around about that 40 cent zone. So there is a decent area of support, which would be consistent with the beginning of an uptrend, which you could argue this is already. It's weak and slow, and the Bollinger Bands are quite tight, so it wouldn't just moon. I wouldn't expect it to just suddenly moon, but bit by bit edging up in the face of a healthy market, obviously, or should I say not a weak market, it could do quite well. And it wouldn't. I think the majority of the losses it suffered are behind it now, and they were quite big. Not as big as some of these altcoins, but bigger than Bitcoin, for instance. 65% retrace from the top to the bottom, and now what we've seen is a decent reaction on the breakout, and effectively what I think is accumulating around this level. Now, this isn't, like I say, something that's going to moon immediately. As soon as you press the buy button, it's certainly not guaranteed to do that. But on a chart setup on the daily, it's better than most. Now, if we think about this on the 4-hourly here, so we've got this giant, obviously, parabolic move all the way up and at the end of last year, and we can see it a little bit more for what it's worth here on the daily. Sorry, for the Bitcoin pair, more or less the same kind of vibe. To be honest, we're pretty much above the majority of moving averages as of today. We are 20, 21. It's only the 50s that are above us, and the 200 is way below us here, which is a good sign. We're turning up on all these oscillators. The momentum hasn't decided to shift to the down. It's still not really showing us any buy signals, and you're not really going to get buy signals while we're fresh out of a consolidation like that. We need a bit more of a period of accumulation really to get proper buy signals on itchy clouds to suggest large continuations up. You know, within by being a bit safer, yeah, with instant gratification. You know, but if you're looking to accumulate, I think, you know, roughly around 40 cent is probably a reasonable area to do it. And you know, we're talking about long term on something like this. It did have a massive parabolic run. If this is anything like BNB in the way that a lot of these native tokens work, they do basically build value and hold value more than most. So you could be looking at this as a 65% discount, and then inevitably, you know, this is going to power on through, you know, when the market decides it wants to be healthy once again. So I can't tell you that it's healthy right now. The market isn't healthy right now. In fact, the market is effectively just moving on the back of traditional markets that we've discussed loads of times leading up to and after the event of the rate hike, which is why I think we basically moved and had these little rallies. Again, we spoke about that. Yeah, that was all planned. It was a planned trade, and it's kind of worked out. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're not looking for major moves across the board at the moment, and if anything were to get a major move, I believe it would most likely be Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean that certain things like this that have better looking charts than Bitcoin can't move with and maybe even outperform Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's going to dictate the overall market. So remember, Bitcoin is sideways. It does threaten further downside. That is going to bring down all altcoins, doesn't matter who you are, despite, you know, how good your chart is, or, you know, how, let's just say, the fact that your chart is better than some of these other altcoins, which are terrible. So crypto.com, the crow, it looks okay. Like I say, it's just like a Bitcoin chart. There's no difference to it apart from the setup is less bearish than bullish. But remember, it's going to move in the shadows of Bitcoin. Whatever Bitcoin does, it's going to do. But if Bitcoin decides it wants to be healthy, I think crypto.com will move alongside it quite nicely and maybe even outperform it, just based on the way that the chart looks, which again is, you know, on the most part, on the daily term time frame, better than Bitcoin's. So I'll leave it with you there. There's nothing much more to say about it. I thought I'd just cherry pick this from the live stream we did last night. Like I say, it's not a signal, it's not a go buy and go straight to the moon, and, you know, I don't even know how far it could possibly go, but I think risk to reward basis on a fundamental level as well, I think Crow is probably okay. You know, it's probably alright. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there, guys. Hope you have a nice day. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.